Hey guys, today I wanted to talk to you about vitamin D deficiency, and some of the things I'm going to talk about are what are some of the symptoms and those that are reported, and also from my experience, how do you become vitamin D deficient and how to correct the deficiency, and also how to find out if you are vitamin D deficient. And this is a disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a professional, so if this shouldn't trump any medical advice that you're given, and if you feel like you are vitamin D deficient or you have some issues, please see your doctor to discuss that with them. So back to this. So what are some of the symptoms that can be displayed through vitamin D deficiency? And the first one I'm going to talk about is fatigue. And from my experience, I tended to be fatigued or tired just for no reason. So I would sleep the normal amount, 8 hours, and sometimes even more. And obviously being fatigued, it just makes you want more sleep, and you're also kind of lazy. And this isn't just, oh, I'm a lazy person. It's like, no, I have, desires and ambitions and I want to do things, but I literally feel like I just can't. I feel like you feel heavy. I guess that's the best way I can describe it. It would feel like I was just carrying extra weight all over my body, and it was physically hard to just get up and do stuff. The next thing I'm going to talk about is headaches and migraines. You can get headaches and migraines from being vitamin D deficient, and I have not experienced any migraines since my levels have come up. Memory loss is another one I've experienced, where I can go and do something and not remember that I did that. Or somebody would tell me something and I could not remember what they said, and I also could not process it, and that's another one. Fainting is another symptom. I actually fainted, and almost fainted about 2 or 3 other times. And the one time I did faint, I know the doctors were probing to try and find out why, and I had just woken up that morning and I was doing school with the kids, and I was sitting down reading to them, and all of a sudden things went blurry, and I knew something was wrong. And Jocelyn, my daughter, was sitting right next to me, and I handed her the book and I said, can you keep reading? And I just sort of pointed to where I was, and I put my head down and I was out, and I didn't know I had fainted. I was telling someone what had happened, and they told me, you fainted? And I was kind of in shock, like, I fainted? I didn't even know. I've fainted before from dehydration but it didn't seem like that could be possible because of what was happening. Everything was just so simple that day. And so I went to the doctor and we talked about that, and they thought maybe it could have been my heart because I was on hormone therapy, and some of the studies that have been done show that it can cause heart problems. However, bioidentical hormone therapy, it's believed that it does not cause the same problems. And the Trim Healthy Mama recommends a book by Dr. Reese, I think is how you say it. I'll post a link. I actually purchased his book and read it, and it helped me tremendously, and it's still helping me with my journey and trying to fix the last little things with my hormones. But another one is remembering simple tasks. I could go into a room and I'm there to get something, but I can't remember what I went to the room for. And there are times too where my husband will tell me, remember this and tell me in a few minutes, and I'll completely forget what he said, and he'll remind me of reminding him, and I'll tell him, I don't even remember you saying that. Foggy brain. And I think the best way I can describe foggy brain is when you're somewhere, it's like you see through everything. There's really nothing to focus on. It's hard to pay attention. It's hard to process anything. It's hard to remember anything. It's just, you feel almost like you're in a trance where nothing makes sense. It can also cause cognitive impairment and dizziness. And I've experienced dizziness, and it's not your typical dizziness from when you sit down and get up. But yes, it can be that too. But I could just be doing something and all of a sudden experience, the room moving and spinning when it really shouldn't be. And obviously you can become nauseous from that too. And then, so now I'm going to talk about how can you become vitamin D deficient. And one of the things my doctor told me is it can be hereditary. So, if your parents or grandparents are low in vitamin D. They may have just passed this down to you that your body cannot absorb vitamin D properly. Another one is skin pigment. The darker you are, the harder it is for your body to absorb vitamin D through direct sunlight. And not going outside enough into direct sunlight. I know when I was younger, I think I was like 15 or 14, I really liked lighter skin and I liked how my skin looked. And I purposefully did not go outside or play outside for a whole year. I wouldn't go to the swimming pool or anything because I didn't want to get darker. And now I don't care, but it was just one of those things I was obsessed with at the time. And looking back, I can see how that harmed me and wasn't beneficial in any way. It was pretty vain. Another one is following a strict vegan diet without supplements. And sometimes your digestion tract does not absorb enough vitamin D. And normally this is associated with other medical issues. Obesity hinders the body from extracting vitamin D through the fat cells. And they're supposed to change the way it's released into circulation. And people with a body mass index of 30 or greater, they typically have lower vitamin D levels. Also stress. So stress is a big one because I think for me as a mom, I know every day can be stressful depending on how you look at things. And so stress can rise cortisol, and that's a stress hormone in the body. And the rise of the cortisol will decrease the body's ability to absorb and activate the vitamin D. So that's pretty important, especially for me in my life, is I have to always look at things and find joy in them and not just think like, oh, this is hard, or, you know, I'm tired. And what I know the other day, this is a pretty gross story, but it just totally like sent me out of this world. The toilet backed up and my daughter had used the restroom, and one of the older kids was wiping her, and I told them, don't flush the toilet, because if you flush the toilet it's going to overflow. I'll just come in and take care of it. Just give me a minute, you know, wipe her, get her off the toilet. Well, they wiped her, got her off the toilet and flushed the toilet, and the water just came out, and so did everything else that was in there. And my daughter comes out running and crying like, I flushed it, I forgot, I'm sorry. And I lost it inside. I was like, oh my goodness, there's gonna be a big mess. And so I come inside and I look at it, and I literally went foggy brain. I couldn't process anything. I couldn't think. I was like, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna clean this up? And I told the kids, please call daddy because I need him. I don't know what to do. And so they go and get my husband, and he comes in and he takes charge. Thankfully, he's like, it's okay, you know, we're just gonna wipe up the water first and the poop with some towels, and then I'll bring you some gloves. This is okay. And then we'll mop with some bleach water and, you know, plunge the toilet. He just gave an order in an exact order of how we were going to get this done, because I couldn't even process that. That's how stressed out and overwhelmed I became over this situation that's probably happens to everybody. And so I have issues with like cross-contamination. So him helping me and telling me, okay, do this first, then this, then this, then this, helped me to get through it. And once it was done, I still had a hard time coming down from that, where I could have simply looked at it and be like, okay, we're just going to clean this. It's fine. Everything is fine. But no, in my mind, everything wasn't fine. So I definitely, you know, need to work on my stress levels and how to handle, you know, stressful situations. And so now what we're going to talk about is perfect. How to correct vitamin D deficiency. And the first thing is you can take supplements from over the counter, or your doctor can prescribe them if they already know you're vitamin D deficient. Normally when the doctors know your vitamin D levels are low, they tend to prescribe you a really high amount. And so I was prescribed 50,000 units 2 times, and each time was for a period of 3 months. And every time we went back and I was tested, my levels were only a couple of points higher, and so there really wasn't even a change in how I felt. And then I went to see my hormone therapist, and she told me that I needed to be taking 5,000 units a day. And I was like, wow, that's a lot. And she was like, well, you're low, and obviously your body is having a hard time absorbing it, maintaining it, and, you know, processing it. So at this amount, your body will be able to increase its level and also to maintain it. So in 3 months after seeing her, I was able to increase my levels and also double them. So I went from about 32 to 64. And prior to doing any of this, my levels at one point were in the 20s, and obviously the doctors were concerned and tried to increase it. And I think I was like at 28 or so. And when I went to see my doctor, he was concerned because I told him I'm still tired, I have no energy, I'm fatigued. You know, I explained all my symptoms to him, and he was trying to help. And then I asked him if he could refer me out because my insurance requires referrals. And so he did, and I began to get more help through the hormone therapist. And so the next thing we're going to talk about also is another way to correct it is to at least get 15 minutes of direct sunlight a day. And also, you don't want to wear like clothing that completely covers you from head to toe. You want, you know, some of your skin to be exposed, your arms, maybe wear some capris, your legs, and just absorb that sunlight. You need it. Also, you can eat more red meat, beef liver, if you can stomach that. I'm not sure if I could, maybe mixed in something. I don't know. I haven't tried that, but maybe one day I will when I get brave enough. You can also eat more fish oils, egg yolks. Learn to manage stress better. And some of the ways I'm learning to manage my stress better are I'm learning to trust God and give him my worries and allow him to help me through my stressful situations. I've also found meditating on God's word, just sitting down and, you know, replaying his word in my head as I'm memorizing scripture. It tends to really just bring me away from everything and just have me focus on him and his goodness and who he is, and just, it's pretty amazing. Another thing is also, you know, learning to stay calm in stressful situations. Take deep breaths, come back to the stressful situation, revisit it, or choose to pray about the situation and ask God for wisdom. And I know that's helped me a lot in my life when I can remember to do that. So the last thing is, how do you find out if you're vitamin D deficient? And it's through a simple blood test. You'll go see your doctor and ask them to test your vitamin D level. And once the results come back, you'll be able to see the range. And the bad thing about that is some doctors have different ranges. And so the first doctor I saw, his range was 35, was low. And the next doctor I saw, the new level low was 30. And so when I saw my new primary care physician, when he saw it was 32, he was like, you're at the lower end. So we need to get it up a little higher, because I would feel more comfortable if it was higher. And the doctor who obviously saw me at, you know, where my levels were at 35, wanted to get me above 35. So I would honestly say, because of how I felt, the 20s and 30s, I was still really tired. It wasn't till like about a month and a half after taking the 5,000 units a day that I felt better. And between there, I don't know what my levels were because we didn't test till 3 months later. And I know new studies are being done and are showing that they recommend, I think I saw one thing say that they want it higher than 40. So visit your doctor and just talk to them and explain your symptoms, and maybe even get multiple opinions from different doctors, and just pick one that you feel more comfortable with and one that actually listens to you. I had some bad experiences with my first doctor where I really felt like he wasn't listening. It was always like, you're fine, or you need antidepressants. If I cried in the office, you're just depressed. So I would advise, don't cry, because that automatically goes down in your record that they think you're depressed because you're crying, where it could just be, no, maybe I'm hormonal, or maybe I'm tired because I'm going through these things. They just have a simple, you know, box they put you in, and they don't give any consideration to anything else. So, like I said, it was a bad experience with my first doctor. He just wouldn't listen to anything I said. And then I picked another doctor, and it just so happened she was being trained under this first doctor. I left. So it was not a good experience there either, because it was, again, you're fine, I'm sure everything is great, you know, you're just you're a mom, you have 6 kids, you're married, your relationship is, you know, everybody has arguments and this and that. I was like, you don't understand. Me and my husband get along pretty good. We love each other. I was like, even if we do have a disagreement, we come back together within that day. Everything is fine. I'm not like pulling my hair out or anything because everything is horrible at home. My kids behave really well. They're homeschooled. They're really good at helping me and helping with the household. I was like, I don't see how it could just be stress. And so, but like I'm saying, there are some things where I can take them and get over stressed out about them. But the things that she was relaying all the blame on my family and everything, I know it wasn't just that. I know part of it is hereditary because my father is actually vitamin D deficient as well. So like I said, I just wanted to share this and just share my experience with you so that you can use it to help you in your own life, in your own struggle, if you're struggling with vitamin D deficiency. Thanks for watching.